All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you've been keeping up with version 2.2 in the Wuthering Waves website, you'll know that there is the official content update that's going to show pretty much everything that's going to be in the patch, all of the durations of all the events, the banners, the new main quests, so on and so forth. Instead of doing a deep dive of all this content, because we've pretty much already seen all of it on the live stream, I wanted to dive into a bit of an issue that some players might find with specifically the banner schedule. And this is something that players didn't really have any idea about heading into 2.2, and thankfully Curl released the full news on it before the patch has begun. And what I wanted to talk about was, of course, some of the new banners that are going to be in the game. As you all are aware, in version 2.2, we're going to be coming out with a new character, Cantarella. And this is the thing. Cantarella's banner is essentially going to be a full 3 weeks, starting on March 27th, which is the date of the version 2.2 update, and then ending on April 17th. You're going to have Cantarella coming up with her array of 4 stars. We've already done a banner breakdown if you're interested in that. The link will be in the description. And then we have the banner for Camellia. Same exact 4 stars, and then their 2 weapons. We all know that what's coming after the banner of these 2 characters is, of course, Shorekeeper, along with her assortment of 4 stars. And the big issue that players might potentially have, depending on where their savings are, is the duration of this banner. It's gonna last from April 17th only up until April 28th. That means, ladies and gentlemen, you'll have about 11 days to pull Shorekeeper. And depending on the state of your account, depending on how many asteroid you have saved, thankfully I have a lot, but I also have Shorekeeper, so, it doesn't really pertain to me. Depending on the state of your account, when you started the game, you could be somebody that started in 1.4, somebody that started in 2.0, or even like 2.1. You're likely going to be a player that really wants Shorekeeper. Or you're somebody that unfortunately skipped her in 1.3. You're all going to be players that want Shorekeeper. And the thing is, you're not going to have a lot of time to get her. If you're somebody that's maybe like a low spender or a free-to-play, and you pick up anything on these past 2 banners, right? You pick up a Camellia, her weapon, or you pick up a Cantarella and her weapon. The fact of the matter is, you might not have enough, or you might just be short of being able to pull Shorekeeper. And the reason why this decreased banner length is so impactful to that group of players is that, well, you get quite a bit of astrite just from the passage of time. You get quite a bit of astrite just from playing the game every day, completing all your dailies, and of course, if you're a low spender, or maybe, like a free-to-play plus, as they might call it, you've also got this, the Lunite subscription. And as we all know, when it comes to the Lunite subscription, you're gonna get 90 astrite every day from it. And then when you combine that with your dailies, that's 60 plus 90. That is essentially a pull every single day if you have both of those. And with this banner being only 11 days, it is about 10 days shorter. Maybe like 11, depending on like how the time zones are working for you over here. That's maybe about 11 days total that you won't be getting that daily income of astrite. 11 times 150, that's gonna be about 1650. And that's about a 10. That's a little bit more than a 10 pull. It could be only like 1500. And guys, a 10 pull can be very serious when it comes to either reaching pity, when it comes to just getting lucky. It gives you 10 more chances, right, at the gamble, or gets you 10 pulls closer to the pity. And what that means is that the free to play and the low spender population, right, the people that won't be able to top up, that won't be able to just go ahead and, drop the extra cash that's required, they might not actually be able to pull this unit. Thankfully, though, you might be able to just save across the entire patch, because there's quite a few events that we're going to have that are all going to generate a fair number of astrite for you. But unfortunately, 10 pulls is a lot more than what each of these individual events are giving. And if you're relying on that daily income of astrite to get yourself ready for this banner, you might be in some trouble. The other thing is, and the other big factor when it comes to this is really, just the chance that you could lose your 50-50 on this unit. And if that occurs, you won't really have that much time either to try to like scrounge up the pulls and figure out a way to actually get this unit. And when Shorekeeper is this important to many meta teams, when she has such a high level of performance, when she's coming in with some of the most unique buffs in the game, right? A 12% crit rate boost to the entire team as well as a 25% crit damage boost. This is a character, right, that is almost in some ways required for others to function. Camellia, for example, is a unit that has very, very, very low critical rate at a baseline. She comes in with, on her skill tree, crit damage nodes up over here. And what that means is that this unit at a full build, right, with her signature weapon, usually does not even break 70% crit rate. And so Shorekeeper is kind of like one of the only ways to make her feel consistent, unless you're willing to sandbag her damage output and put like a crit rate forecast on her. You can kind of see over here, based off my build, I've got double crit on every piece, double crit on every single piece, and relatively high rolls, and I'm not breaking higher than 70%. Zhang Liao is a similar issue as well, where he's got the same exact upgrades on his skill tree. And what this means is that a character like Shorekeeper can oftentimes make or break the performance and the consistency of a team, and so not having her feels like a huge blow to your account. She last ran 5 months ago on September 29th. That was the last time this unit was on banner. It's been 5 months. And the one time that she comes back, probably the most popular unit in the game, probably like the one must pull that everyone says is the must pull, she's only here for 11 days. And so let's also be clear about one thing. We're not getting less events in this patch. We're simply getting more events that are going to be stockpiled into less overall time. And so you're likely going to see an increased amount of Astrite for the amount of time that we're spending in the patch, and you won't be lacking when it comes to what you're getting from the events. But when we're getting a shortened banner time and we know the impact of, you know, those daily logins, right? It's still going to be around 600 Astrite that you're going to be missing if you're free to play. And then that bumps up to around a 10 pull if you have the daily pass. And the thing is, Kuro Games already has a bit of a track record of adjusting their banner schedules to be a little bit more friendly to the player base. We all know that in version 1.0, Jian, for example, had his banner coincide with Yinlin's. Yinlin's banner was pushed up to be at the same time as Jian's because the patch 1.0 was actually shortened to make room for 1.1 as quickly as possible, right? It was pushed forward like a week. And so was Yinlin's banner so that it coincided with Jian's. In this case, for the anniversary patch, we're getting 2.2 shortened by about 2 weeks, and then Shorekeeper's banner is not moving at all. I would say the number one decision that Kuro could probably make at this point to appeal to as many players as possible, right? And kind of like eliminate as much FOMO as they can as they head into anniversary, you know, a really great show of goodwill to the players would be to actually start Shorekeeper's banner at least a week earlier. It's still going to be less than the 21 days that Cantarella and Camellia are going to have, but it would just make this pulling process, it would make this acquisition process, right, for one of the most desired characters in the game so much more palatable for a large number of players. Because right now, I can just imagine the amount of like frustration, the amount of rage, the kind of like negative PR that Kuro could possibly get if it launches like this and doesn't stay the same. Because people are going to be talking about, where's my 10 pull, right? Like, I get a 10 pull for my dailies, I get a 10 pull for the monthly pass, you're not letting me get that for this banner, and you know that this is one of the most important characters in the game to have on your roster. And that's going to lead to, you know, a lot of rumors of like, you know, oh, Kuro's just trying to get us to shell out for all of these packages that they have over here. You know, Kuro's getting too greedy. I can just imagine what the narrative is going to be. I can just imagine how many people would try to like go forward with that when we know how many individuals are just looking for a reason to shit on Wuwa in the gacha community. Because of course, right, it's such a big competitor to Hoyoverse games. And we all know what communities like r/gacha gaming are going to say. We all know what a big ruckus Cantarella's quality of life, you know, swimming faster, has already caused, you know, all the narratives that have spun from that. This is something that I imagine could get really nasty really quick. And since Kuro already has a track record of moving banners to be more convenient for players, to give them as much time as possible to spend on the units that they want and acquire the units that they want, I think that this is kind of like the natural next step. You could be asking, though, why Kuro might not do that, and the reason for that is pretty simple. Cantarella is a new character, right? And Cantarella is one that they put a ton of budget into. They put a lot of effort into like her character trailer and stuff like that. We've all seen the amazing reactions to it. And they likely want to make sure that they're getting as accurate reporting as possible for what her sales actually are. Because there's a reason why Shorekeeper is running solo. It's because she's one of the most popular characters and highly demanded ones in the game. And so she could have a tendency to like manipulate or, you know, kind of like mess up the data for how the individual characters are doing. Because let's be real here, right? Gacha games are data driven. They want to see how the characters do, how popular they are individually, so that they can use that data to either like refine the banner in the future or curate their next character design so that they appeal more to the player base. And this is something that Kuro Games should consider as well. Aren't there going to be more people that will actually pull on Cantarella potentially if they know that Shorekeeper's banner is going to be extended? Because I do think that people knowing that this banner is only 11 days, it's going to influence them to possibly just skip the character more and more because they need to ensure that they actually get Shorekeeper in the first place. That's something to keep in mind. Hopefully it's changed. It's a bit of a complicated situation on both sides. And unfortunately, all of this is happening for a quote-unquote good reason. It's because we have the anniversary coming up. The anniversary patch should be on 428 or 429. And you know what that means, ladies and gentlemen. There's a lot of good stuff coming for Wuthering Waves, a lot of amazing, exciting news. And unfortunately, this could be a bit of like a dark mark or a stain or something that gets people really riled up and against the game if it stays in its current state. It's a complicated decision all around. Hopefully the devs will decide on some form of action, because at least maybe the action will result in Shorekeeper's banner actually being extended into the anniversary. If they want to make sure that Cantarella's sales are uninterrupted, that could be a potential option too. Making Shorekeeper's banner go into at least maybe a week or two into the anniversary patch, that could be another way that they could, you know, really throw that bone to the players, get more of that goodwill. Because right now, having the most popular character in the game, or the one character that everyone considers a must pull, only having 11 days, let's be honest here, guys. Let's be honest here, guys. It's a little bit stinky. It is a little bit stinky, and it's going to hurt a potentially large group of players, specifically those that aren't spending as much money on the game. And so we all know Kuro listens. We all know that they take feedback very, very, very seriously. Let's allow this character and this banner to be another example of that. I know this might seem like a little bit doom posty. I know this might seem like, oh, you're like raising a big issue for no reason. But let me be honest here. A lot of people aren't going to see this. They aren't going to realize that the banner is only 11 days as a whole, because they might be pulling on a unit like Cantarella or Shorekeeper, and they might think that they have more time. And then when they're cut short, they lose that opportunity for a unit this important. They're probably going to feel very, very, very frustrated. And so with that, hopefully this overview was helpful. Maybe if you're a person that was thinking about pulling on Cantarella or thinking about pulling on Camellia, you're better able to manage your resources because you won't have as much time as you think if it stays the current way that it is. So let me know what you all think. Peace out.